Hey, this is Steven Platinum, your friend in wrestling with Platinum versus Impact Wrestling. Is this the last one that's going to be on Tuesday night? They certainly were pimping the Thursday move really, really hard, which was very smart to do. I think that's going to work out better for them. How was the show tonight? It was alright. Certainly the stuff that they are setting up for the pay-per-view was good. I thought the announcement of the match about the knockouts going at it to become #1 contender, that's definitely a good move. I thought it was really cool to end it with with James Storm, 1000th Impact match, and Chris Harris was there, which I thought was really cool. Apparently Eric Young got hurt during that match, though I couldn't see why, so they were smart enough to edit that out. And he seemed like no worse for wear by the end of that match, but obviously he did get hurt, so we wish Eric Young a speedy recovery. And we are here at Impact. We start off with Fire and Flava versus Havoc and Nevea. We knew this is kind of a foregone conclusion match. Havoc and Nevea are splitting up. Clearly they're on that road. Fire and Flava are the Chizamps. And sure enough, Fire and Flava win in pretty decisive fashion, getting the pin over Havoc, no less. So that's setting that up. It was an okay match to open with. We get a backstage interview with James Storm, which I thought was a good way to go, really kind of set the tone for the show and what we're going to see in the main event. We get a backstage interview with Deonna Purrazzo and Susan before Jazz shows up and attacks the two, setting up this idea of Jazz putting her career up. We get that later on. So it's something that Impact's doing that's really nice here, which in the past they haven't really done, which is to have things that mattered in different parts of the segments. Now, you could argue that, Steve, you have this rule, don't use one half of your show to promote the other half, but Impact, honestly, for them, that's a bit of a step up, and they did do a lot of work building up matches for next week and for the pay-per-view. So I'm not going to bust their balls for having a couple of interesting things going on, so it's just not matches happening in a vacuum. I like to see that. Sami Callihan against Larry D with AC Romero in his corner. The long and short of it is Sami Callihan wins the match with the draping pile driver. But it's about AC attacking Sami before he and Larry leave, because then that sets up something else that they have. So they had a number of segments that led to other segments, which led to bigger things down the road. Good job, Impact Wrestling, a nice, tightly compact show, which at times they kind of suffer. But the one thing is, we haven't had a real Impact kind of match. We'll see if we're going to get one. We get highlights of Finn Juice in action in New Japan. And we got Kenny Omega, Don Callis, and the Good Brothers in the locker room. And Carl and Doc, before they leave, Don whispers an idea to Kenny as we go to commercial. Dun, dun, dun. Again, another thing that's going to lead to a segment later on. Sami meets with Trey before Sami tells Trey they need to take his anger and use it. And he offers to mentor Trey, and he says to Trey, think about it for a week and give him his answer before leaving, because he wants to have a tag team match against the guys that just fought him and beat him up. Interesting. Brian Myers against Suicide. And this is a foregone conclusion match. We knew Brian Myers was going to win because he's got stuff going on, and he does. After the match, Brian rejects Matt Cardona's challenge to a match at Hardcore Justice, which of course means it's going to happen in some way, shape, or form, but we're not going to. He's no cheap date. You have to charm Brian Myers into that match, apparently. Backstage, Jazz meets with Tommy Dreamer, and Tommy makes a double Jeopardy match between Jazz and Deonna, where Deonna will put her title on the line and Jazz her career on the line. So there it is. Kenny and Don, after the AEW commercial with Tony Khan and Tony Schiavone, where Tony Khan is just becoming increasingly unhinged, and I run wrestling and I'm the forbidden door and all this stuff goes through me. It's really amusing and it's really fun to watch. You can tell Tony Khan's having a ball, and it's all Tony Schiavone can do to not crack up. So it's really great. And after that, Kenny and Don show up to Swingers Palace. They put $20,000 on Kenny winning his match at Rebellion. TJP and Josh Alexander against Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. There's just a case of Josh Alexander and TJP not being able to get on the same page, and so Fulton and Ace Austin get the win with a roll up, which Impact does not excessively use, so I'll allow it here. And we're building up, I guess, the thing eventually between Josh Alexander and TJP, which I am all for. And we're having Ace Austin look really good coming off of his X Division win, and I'm all for that as well. Don meets with Willie Mack in like the break room, and basically goads himself, Don Callis does, into a fight and a conflict with Rich Swann. And as it looks like they're about to mix it up, of course, Kenny Omega attacks. Willie Mack jumps Kenny Omega. In come the Good Brothers. In comes Eddie Edwards. Brawly, brawly, brawly. And we have our 6-man set up for the main event of next week. Pretty great. Get a video package by Violent by Design, basically promoting this idea. Eric is not going to lay down for James Storm in his 1000th match. Now we get the match, and it's a really good one. And I thought having Harris there was a nice touch. Having Chris Sabin there, and Jake Something in James' corner, and Eric Young, of course, with Violent by Design. The commentators, I thought, did an especially good job, especially D'Lo Brown, who really kept Matt Striker on course in this match when, Matt Striker got a little wistful, going like, how should you honor people? And D'Lo Brown's like, man, we got a fucking match to call, which I loved. He didn't say it like that. He wasn't that rude, but you get what I'm saying. They really kept on point with this idea of how important this 1000th match was, how much Impact and TNA had been through. I just thought it was a win all the way around. James wins with the super kick for the pin as Chris Harris stops EY from cheating. I'm glad there wasn't any kind of dumb swerve with Chris Harris turning on James Storm or some bullshit like that. It's nice to just give us a moment and let somebody enjoy and let the fans enjoy. And I thought it was really great. So, you know what, Impact? Good effing job all night long.